Have you ever been deep in the woods, far from roads and people, and felt like the silence was watching you? Not the peaceful kind of silence, the kind that presses against your ears, the kind that feels deliberate. Now imagine this. You're lost, cold, exhausted. Your phone has no signal, and night is coming fast. And through the trees, you see a cabin. A small wooden cabin standing exactly where it shouldn't be. Not ruined, not broken, just waiting. You step inside, believing you've been saved. Weeks later, someone else finds that same cabin, hundreds of miles away. Same furniture, same scratches on the walls, same heavy feeling in the air. And the terrifying truth is this: the cabin never moved. The people did. This is the story of the forest cabin that appears in different locations. Stories about haunted houses are nothing new. We've all heard them. But a house that doesn't stay in one place, that appears only when someone is vulnerable, feels different, more intentional, more intelligent. Over the years, hikers, campers, park rangers, and even search and rescue teams have reported encounters with a cabin that doesn't exist on any map, a structure that appears deep in forests across the world, always when someone is lost, injured, or emotionally broken, and every time it leaves something behind. The earliest recorded encounter happened in the Appalachian Mountains in 1978. 3 college students were backpacking before winter arrived. It was supposed to be an easy trip, nothing extreme, just a few days away from civilization. On their second night, fog rolled in faster than expected, thick, heavy fog that swallowed sound and distance. By sunset, they realized they had wandered off the trail. That's when one of them saw the cabin. He later said it didn't feel abandoned. It felt paused, like someone had stepped away and planned to return at any moment. The door wasn't locked. Inside, the air was warmer than it should have been. There was no fireplace burning, no heater, yet the cold didn't follow them in. There were 3 chairs around a small wooden table, 3 plates neatly placed, and a journal lying open in the center. The last entry read, "It moved again last night." They laughed it off, nervous laughter, the kind people use to convince themselves they're not afraid. One of them joked that at least the place had furniture. They decided to sleep there. By morning, one of them was gone. No footprints, no signs of a struggle, no broken branches or disturbed ground outside, just one new plate on the table and a new line in the journal. One stayed. They ran. Search teams never found the missing student, but weeks later, a hiker in a completely different forest reported finding a cabin with a journal inside. On the final page was a name, the same name. At first, authorities dismissed the stories as coincidence, misremembered details, stress-induced hallucinations, but the reports kept coming. Different countries, different forests, same cabin. Witnesses described the same crooked nail above the door, the same claw-like scratches near the window, the same metallic smell mixed with damp wood, and always the same feeling that the cabin was aware of them. A park ranger in Canada described stepping inside and feeling an overwhelming certainty that the place already knew his name. He said the silence inside wasn't empty, it was observant. On the walls, he found photographs nailed into the wood, modern photographs. People standing in the doorway of the cabin, smiling as if they'd just arrived somewhere safe. None of them were ever found alive. On the back of one photo, someone had written, "They always come in tired." What made the reports truly disturbing was this: when search teams returned to the locations where the cabin had been seen, there was nothing there. No clearing, no foundation, no sign a structure had ever existed, just untouched forest. Years later, a researcher began to notice something no one else had. The cabin didn't appear randomly. It appeared when people were vulnerable. Lost hikers, recently divorced campers, people grieving loved ones, those recovering from addiction or trauma. The forest wasn't the point. Weakness was. The researcher called it a structure of invitation, something that didn't hunt or chase, but waited patiently for permission. His research ended abruptly. He vanished near a national forest. His car was found parked along a dirt road. Inside it was his notebook. The last page read, "It doesn't move, we do." Then, in 2016, a group of urban explorers found the cabin while live streaming. Viewers initially joked that it was staged, a prop, a creepy setup for attention, until the door opened on its own. Inside, the walls were covered in names, thousands of them carved deep into the wood, layered over each other. One of the explorers recognized a name, his brother, missing for 5 years. They tried to burn the cabin. The wood wouldn't spread. The darkened, then slowly returned to its original color, as if healing. Moments later, the live stream audio picked up knocking, not from the door, from inside the walls. The feed cut out. Authorities later found their equipment abandoned in the forest. The cabin was gone. So what is the cabin? Some believe it's a dimensional anomaly. Others think it's a psychological manifestation, something created by collective fear. But the most chilling theory is this: the cabin is a mirror. It appears when someone believes they need saving, and it shows them what they're willing to trade for safety. Because everyone who enters assumes the same thing, that the cabin is empty, but it never is. Tonight, we followed the trail of a cabin that belongs to no forest, yet appears in all of them, a place that doesn't chase the lost, but waits for them to stop running. So if you ever find yourself deep in the woods, cold and afraid, and you see a cabin that looks too perfect to be real, keep walking, because some doors don't lead to shelter, they lead to inventory. If you want more stories that stay with you long after the screen goes dark, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And tell me in the comments, if you saw the cabin, would you go inside? Sleep well. The forest remembers.